You have one candidate buying and paying for Russian government lies, and that one candidate then, the deep state is allowing it to create an environment where they're not going to tell the FISA judge the truth, where this originates from, to get a warrant. A FISA warrant, of all things, to spy on an opposition party candidate. All right, stay there. We'll take a quick break. More of our news roundup, information overload. Jonathan Gillum, Dan Bongino. Also be getting your calls in, and much more coming up in the course of the program today. This week has flown by. All right, as we continue, news roundup, information overload. Dan Bongino, Jonathan Gillum are with us. I think the other big story of the week is the fact that the Uranium One, this informant, Dan Bongino, a guy that was within Putin's network, that's up front and personal. He saw Putin's operatives literally involved in bribing, extortion, racketeering, money laundering, kickbacks, and he was telling all of this about 18 months before the Uranium One deal ever went through. How is it possible then FBI Director Mueller or somebody didn't step up and stop Putin from getting 20% of our uranium when we don't have enough uranium?
Yeah, not only that, Sean, they put a gag order after the case was pled out to a relatively minor charge, the entire Uranium One debacle and the racketeering case. You know what's really disturbing about this, Sean, is the Clintons, they always seem to have some way to enact deniability here. And what Hillary's saying now is wrong. What she's saying is, well, I was only one of a few members who okayed this Uranium One deal. What she conveniently leaves out, your audience needs to focus on like a laser, is forget the approval of the Uranium One deal for a moment. Her husband traveled overseas to Kazakhstan with an executive from a company that benefited strongly financially from the sale of Kazakhstan's uranium, and then turned around and made millions in donations to the Clinton Foundation while he was being paid handsome speaking fees by some of the same people who would also benefit from the sale of the nuclear fuel.
Everyone that benefited, you find a financial connection to the Clinton Foundation. I don't know if Jonathan, if that's not a quid pro quo, I don't know what is.
No, and this is just exactly more of what we're talking about with all this other stuff. This is just more evidence for the American people to realize a couple things. One, that these people at the top of government, the political appointees and those people that have literally not worked their way to the top, but climbed their way by checking boxes to get to the top, how they all work together and how they do nefarious and illegal things and get away with it. You're never going to hear the truth completely from the Democrats or the Republicans. This right here, what we see in the evidence, as any investigation will tell you, the evidence doesn't lie. And the evidence is telling us over and over again that these people are using their positions to further their ideology and their own personal gain.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with both of you more. All right, it's been a busy week. We really appreciate your time. You guys have been doing amazing work. Jonathan Gillum, we appreciate it. Congrats on the success of the book. Dan Bongino, same thing. When we come back, we have wide open telephones. We'll get to your calls, 800-941-SEAN, if you want to be a part of the program. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Hannity, 9 Eastern tonight, where we have new and breaking news on all of these issues that the media is ignoring, news you won't get anywhere else. It's sad, but it's true. You would think the media would wake up to the biggest story in their lifetime, but I guess we'll have to drag them kicking and screaming to understanding some truth in their life. We'll continue. Let me go to Hillary Clinton is giving a speech or something, and she's talking about fighting for women. Now, she makes this big deal on her Facebook page about how, well, in 2008, I had a sexual harasser. I didn't fire him, and here's why I didn't fire him, but I do stand up. I'm a champion for women's rights, which we've always pointed out is not true. As, you know, Paula Jones Exhibit A, Jennifer Flowers Exhibit B, Juanita Broderick Exhibit C, and there are other exhibits. And then the money she takes from countries, millions for the Clinton Foundation that abuse women. Anyway, here's Hillary. She starts talking about how she'll fight for women, and then, one of those coughing fit things begins.
From Hollywood to politics to factory floors, everywhere, women are telling the truth about their lives. And let's make sure the world is never the same. You know, we have to be brave. We have to be brave enough to engage with people who disagree with us, brave enough to question and examine our own beliefs, brave enough to acknowledge that even those of us who have spent much of our life thinking about and fighting about gender issues, who even have firsthand experiences of navigating male-dominated industries, may not always get it right. I pledge to continue to speak out. I pledge to never give up. I will do everything I can to keep my voice, number one. To advance the rights and opportunities of women. And in the midst of this snowstorm, stay on the front lines of democracy.
Wow. Now, if it was during the campaign and I had the unmitigated audacity to play that because it happens so often, what are you doing? Are you implying she's sick? All right, 800-941-SEAN, toll-free telephone number. All right, let's get to your calls. You've been very patient this week. As we say hi, we'll start with Tucson, Arizona. Keith next, Sean Hannity Show. Happy Friday, sir. How are you?
Hey, Sean, we love you out here in Tucson.
What's going on, sir? How are you?
Hey, do you ever feel like you're wasting your breath because none of these higher-up people, Clinton and all them, they're never going to see a day in jail?
Absolutely not. We have uncovered in the last year more corruption than I ever thought or ever wanted to see in America. We now have gotten to the precipice. I mean, you just think of the last 2 weeks of news. What have we gotten? We've gotten the Nunes memo that showed so much about what actually went on in terms of the dossier, who's responsible. It's Hillary bought and paid for. It became the bulk of information presented to the FISA court. The FISA court was lied to and manipulated in numerous ways. I've been telling you for a year that there was an informant that had infiltrated Putin's network in America on the Uranium One deal. He wanted a foothold in the uranium market. That now has turned out to be true, as I've been telling you. And that same informant now has testified before 3 congressional committees. We now have the call for a special counsel about the manipulation or attempted manipulation of an election and how we got to that point. Those people that are corrupt are being named. Robert Mueller's corrupt band of Mary Obama and Clinton and DNC donors and their corrupt records of withholding exculpatory evidence and how they've been overturned by the Supreme Court 9-0, how they've been overturned by the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. Their tactics have been brought into question and light, and how wrong the media has been on Trump-Russia collusion. No, we've gotten to a lot of truth, Keith. I'm proud of the work and the reporting we've done, but it's only the beginning in many ways. I've been telling you it's the tip of the spear, the tip of the iceberg, and I think truth is important. And while the media has slept, they've missed the biggest story in their career, and they've lied to the American people on a daily, nightly basis. So the answer is, I don't know what the outcome's going to be. I suspect we're going to see another special counsel appointed, if not 2 of them. And I suspect that we'll learn in pretty short order, meaning in the next couple of months, that Donald Trump's going to get exonerated from Trump-Russia collusion. So I don't regret a minute of the great reporting that all the people we put on the air for you to hear every day have been right and so many others have been wrong. Appreciate the call, though, as we say hi to Stephanie is in PA. Stephanie, hi, how are you? Glad you called.
Thanks, Sean. I love your show. I am a crummy deplorable.
Irredeemable.
Who is an oxymoron. I'm a teacher who's conservative, but I received from the tax cuts an increase in pay of $206 a month. That's awesome. Huge for my husband and I. I teach. He's a contractor. We're the crummy deplorables.
Let me tell you what $206 a month means, because I remember having no money in the bank, living paycheck to paycheck. It was a long period of my life. It wasn't short. Let's say you want to get a small new car. You could probably get a lease for about that much a month on a new car. That's how profound it could be in terms of somebody's life. Or maybe it's just that you go out, you take the $200, and maybe you go out to a local Italian place 3 times a month, and you guys can have a nice dinner together. Or
right, we never get to do that. Now we can do that's meat in my freezer. That's extra snacks for my kids to put in their lunch bags.
Exactly.
This is important stuff to us. It's a new water pump we need in our basement. I mean, it means so much to me I loved the moment Pennsylvania took him over the top, and I don't regret 1 inch of voting for this man.
I can't believe there are people. I will say this. No one wants to hear my life story anymore because I've repeated it too much. But those years in the restaurant business and in the construction business defined me. And in so many ways, I'm that person. And in so many ways, I saw this election as being about me a few years earlier and the beginnings of my adult life. And it wasn't until my late 20s I ever got into radio. And I know what it's like to be a forgotten man and woman, and I know what an extra $1,000 means to somebody. You know, $200 a month, times 12. Now that's $2,400 extra in your pocket every year. That's a lot of money. That's a lot. That's serious money that you can do some great things for your kids with or whatever you want to use it on. That's great. And, we are overtaxed. They do overspend. They do overregulate. And it's about time we think it's supposed to be we the people. And we get, crushed left and right by local government, state government, the federal government. It never ends. So it's not crumbs to people that do all the hard work every day that make this country great. And I'm glad you shared your story. I really am. Wendy is in Illinois. Wendy, hi. How are you? Glad you called.
Hey, Sean. I was trying to get on a couple days ago, and it's so much better that I'm on now because all this Uranium One stuff has come up. And Mueller, was he not to be investigating that? So here's what I think he's doing. I think he's in there with all those Clinton lawyers covering his tracks, calling up Silicon Valley and say, getting this stuff off the clouds. Because, every time you create a document or send an email, it goes to a cloud, and then it goes to somebody else's email, and that goes to a cloud. So they're down there. I bet you if the FBI were serious and they went in there and confiscated everything, they would find one phone call after another to all the CEOs of Silicon Valley and IBM and Amazon and everything else you can think of. Get it off, get it off, get it off.
I could tell you this. I am certain that they monitor this radio show and watch the television show, and they have to be apoplectic because I don't think they expected this much investigative scrutiny in their lives. And I think it has, if you look at, how does Robert Mueller explain CFIUS approval of Uranium One when he's the FBI director and he knew 18 months in advance that Vladimir Putin had had a team on the ground in America to get a foothold in our uranium industry and that we had a spy in there the whole time? How does he explain that? How does he explain his existence after now knowing the bulk of information to acquire a FISA warrant against Donald Trump came from Hillary Clinton buying and paying for Russian government lies, not only to manipulate the election, but then it becomes the basis for a spy warrant. It takes away any justification for his position at all. And if the media was not so abusively biased and in collusion with the Democratic Party and willing accomplices of, he would know his days are up. And I think they should come to an end immediately. Anyway, thank you so much for the call. I wish I had more time. All right, Hannity tonight, 9 Eastern. We're breaking this story wide open about a FISA court rebuking the Obama administration for, quote, widespread illegal surveillance and a serious abuse of the Constitution. We continue tonight. Sarah Carter, Greg Jarrett, Sebastian Gorka tonight, Herman Cain, Peter Schweitzer. Now that the informant in the Uranium One case has now spoken to 3 congressional committees, he'll join us. He was way ahead of that story. And Sean Spicer and Joe Concha on Your Corrupt Media. We got a big show tonight. Set your DVR, 9 Eastern. Thanks for being with us. See you then, and we will be back here on Monday. Have a great weekend.
Welcome to the Shark Show Radio,